It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Good evening. It's a beautiful spring afternoon. And just like that, Crossroads is back. Crossroads is back with our new season. So I'm excited, exceptionally excited to be back with you to share with you season 2 or another season of our podcast, Crossroads, Navigating Business Challenges. Just a matter of reintroduction. My name is David Etienne. I'm CEO of Etienne Business Solutions and Etienne Strategic Management Consulting, and of course, your host of the podcast. Last season, we had some very exciting, intriguing, and knowledge-filled guests passing through. And I got a lot of feedback from you guys, and I was really, enthused by the energy. And so we come to season 2, and I'm expecting great things and even greater things than we had before. Now, I'm particularly excited because all of last season, I wanted to expand our podcast to incorporate not only seasoned, knowledgeable, old soldiers of business, so to speak, but I really wanted to highlight, introduce, expose to us, older folks, older business operators, some of our young entrepreneurs. And I am particularly pleased today to know that I'm starting season 2 with such, okay? So what we have this evening is our first young entrepreneur that I'm going to be featuring on this platform. Yes, the platform has as its tagline, Navigating Business Challenges. And it is a fact that more seasoned business people, through trial and error, through failures and successes, would have garnered the knowledge as to how to navigate business challenges. Not so much so for our young entrepreneurs. So when we have a young entrepreneur who has decided to bite the bullet, so to speak, and head into entrepreneurship, then we know that it can be a daunting task. And so this afternoon, I just want to have a little discussion with one such young entrepreneur to hear what's the thought process, what was the driver, what are the excitements that act as a pull, what are some of the challenges that such a young person going into business would anticipate, etc. So today I have with me none other than my man Brandon Snowball. Hey Brandon, what's up?
Hey guys, how you doing? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yes, sir. So very excited to have you on our podcast. And as you may have heard, that we're just starting our new season for this podcast, and we're honored to have you as our first guest in the new season, where we're going to be
I appreciate
speaking
that. I appreciate that.
specifically to a young entrepreneur. Very, very good. Well, by way of introduction, Brandon, full name Brandon Snowball, and I will say that Brandon is the entrepreneurial son of one of my longtime senior entrepreneurs who happens to be my client. Okay, and he is the owner of DT Motors. Now, Brandon, however, is the manager and CEO of the auto sales division of DT Motors, specifically referred to as DT Auto Consultants. And Brandon's area of focus is really guiding clients into vehicle purchase. And one may think that, okay, I want to buy a car, let me find a car lot, or let me go online, which is the in thing, and just buy a car. But we're coming, especially now as technology changes, we're coming into understanding that, yeah, buying a car may not be quite like just going to the store to buy yourself a pair of shoes. There's some technicality to it, and with the right guidance, you can make the right decision, both from a technical point of view and from a cost perspective. And that is why I have Brandon here with me today, looking at this area. Brandon, let me get to know you a bit more on the entrepreneurial side. So I'm curious. Did you, I know your background, but still, did you have, I'm going to call it, did you just have a nightmare? And the nightmare, Brandon, you need to become an
Yeah,
entrepreneur. What is that?
yeah.
Tell me about it. How did you reach
So
here?
first things first, I want to say how you describe what I do is that was like spot on. I'm gonna first say that that was perfect. But
Perfect.
I'll say I'll say what got me into entrepreneurship was, uh, from a kid, man, I played my sport, my thing to do was football. And I got to a certain age and it didn't end up working out. I didn't end up completing that dream and that goal of mine. So while I was in college, I really had to sit down and focus and really do some personal development, really look within myself and figure out who I was, what I needed to do. And because I realized I can still achieve that success that I wanted. I can still achieve the success I needed to get to, but I just had to lock in with myself. So I sat down and I said, you know what? Let me look at the things that's around me. And I looked at my dad's business. I said, he's doing his thing. He's flourishing. I want to be something like I want to be like that. But I want to do it in my way. And so that's where that drive and that passion. And I took that same passion, that same focus, that same all the hardworking characteristics that I built playing football and just going through school. And I took it and I'm applying it here now. So into the auto sales side. So that's really where that came from. And just and I say also while I was in college too, I changed my major to accounting. And that was a big thing too, where I was like, I want to get into accounting and start seeing, how what's the behind the scenes of a business? Like, what does it look like? What does a successful business look like on paper, right? Like,
Perfect.
I wanted to get into that. So that's where the combination of me understanding who I was and looking at my background, looking at, my family tree and everything and looking at what they've done. And then combining that with my love for numbers, and then going into accounting. It just created this right here and brought
Created
me
the
to this
perfect
moment here.
storm, eh? Created
Yeah,
the perfect storm.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, cool, cool. That's great, man. That's great. Because with your background, because your dad was always in automotive thing. This is the vision in my mind now. This is the vision,
yeah,
the picture in my mind. So dad is busy doing his thing. Son is hanging around, enjoying the presence. So it starts out as a hobby. I'm excited about what my dad does, and as you grow, then you say, you know
yeah.
what? Let me convert it from just a hobby into a business. But what I'm hearing from you that no, it's much more than that. That
Yeah.
that is behind the drive.
Yeah, it was, because to be honest, and like I said, when I started out, going really from the age of 4 until 17, my whole life was me thinking about playing football. That was what I did. I could tell you the game inside out. I this literally, I ate, sleep, ate everything was football. But like I said, as I got to college and, I started just, looking into myself more, that's where that came from. It was, I wouldn't even say it was a hobby. It was immediately, like I said, like as soon as I started getting into it, I knew I was like, this is what I want to do. And I've been doing every single day. It's been something to, like I said, it's been a task to look into myself and keep going. Like that's what drives me every day. Waking up and be like, okay, I can do something today to
Yeah,
advance the business in some way, advance myself in some way. So yeah,
got you, got you. Now, when it comes to, and I will keep repeating this phrase, this term, young entrepreneurs. When it comes to the young entrepreneurs, you enter into a field, but the knowledge, the expertise, the experience, more often than not, is not there. That's a
right,
norm, okay? That's a
yeah,
norm. And then getting into it now. So so in addition to the other challenges, the young entrepreneur faces the challenge of getting up to speed with what
yeah,
are the demands of this industry.
right.
It is sounding to me as if that is not going to be such a learning curve in your case.
So
Tell me
okay,
about it. It seems to me as if you are pretty knowledgeable and way ahead of the curve than most young entrepreneurs entering into a field.
so so I'll say, for me, I'll say it's almost like it's like a cheat code almost because I was fortunate enough to have a dad that is in the automotive industry, like, over 30 plus years of knowledge and experience dealing with different customers, dealing with different types of cars. So that right there to me is what separates us auto salesman from someone else because anybody can technically sell anything, right? But
That's what
if I
I'm
can
thinking.
sell,
I
right,
own a car. I said, come on, buy a car. Easy.
right. But if I can sell you a car and explain to you the reason why the car that you bought is the car you should buy, or if you have a specific choice, and then I tell you, hey, if you buy this car, maybe in a year or two, you're gonna be coming back to me wondering what happened with it because certain cars from the factory, they just come with certain issues. That background information, that information that I got from my dad and learning the ropes, it did take time. I got to be transparent. It took time. You don't just snap a finger and get that. Like you have to go through phases of looking at cars and you bring it to him. He's like, hey, this car is complete garbage. Like, there's no way you can sell this to somebody, right? So it's going through. I had to go through those phases of understanding the market, understanding the different types of vehicles, knowing how each vehicle is different from the other. That's really what separates what we do from, I'll say, any other dealership that you would go to because we have a lot of experience and also a lot of experience with vehicles and market experience as well to understand the value of a car and the qualities of the different qualities based on the car and the brand that you're going with. It's a lot that's going into that. So
You make a very
yeah,
important point here. You made a very important point because my thinking is that, and maybe not the top end dealers, but if I just walk onto a car lot and a guy
yeah,
step out and I'm buying a car, I don't think, well, that guy is not required to have any in-depth knowledge of the car. He's a
he's not.
salesman. Yes, I'm
Right.
saying,
He's
and
got,
so he will tell me a bit of the peripherals and etc. etc. But definitely, and I suppose that is why it is important, therefore, that a person would buy a car and quickly go and have it properly checked out by a known person. But the
right.
advantage in your case now, I come to your place, I'm getting the expertise right there, not just a salesman. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. I was just gonna get to that. It's instead of that time wasted, you're immediately gonna get before you even get the car. You're already gonna the confidence that you're gonna have when you get that car is wow. This car was double checked before I even touched it. Right. It's gonna be checked before we even get it, and then we're gonna check it once we get it. So that right there, it I don't know if anybody else is doing anything to that level, man. I just I think
Yeah,
what we do, what my dad does, and then what I can do with sourcing vehicles, I think that's just a perfect mix.
that's
So
value.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
lot of value. That's a lot of value added. No value.
yeah.
So yeah, you have been involved in this industry since you were a top. You can't even remember how long. Okay. I look at the car sales industry, and we have seen how it has moved and changed over time.
hmm
Okay, we have seen how it has moved and changed
Yeah,
over time. Part of the change also has to do with the fact that because cars are so techy now, you know what I mean? They are so technologically
yeah,
advanced now, more than
yeah,
ever. All that a salesman can say is buy this car. There's not much, really not much that
yeah.
he can offer in terms. So tell me, what do you see as a possible challenge to you in particular, given the fact that there's such rapid change in the technology and the need to know, to understand, so that you can advise people like me? How challenging is that to keep current?
Yeah, I'll say the biggest challenge is not necessarily with the cars itself, because I'll say the biggest challenge is with the cost of the cars, because the markets, like you said, the markets are forever changing, right? So for instance, like with the technology with the cars, yeah, that's always going to increase, but at the end of the day, what's fundamental, the basics of a vehicle is the engine, the interior, the exterior. Those are the basics of the car, and if a car has a good foundation, the technology pieces should just be an addition. It shouldn't be something that so that's where I come in and say, okay, I would have to go through and decipher through those vehicles and say, all right, this is too much technology. This is too much. I don't even really like the electrical vehicles like that too much, to be honest. I think that they come with their own set of issues, but I'm not saying they're bad cars, but it's just a lot of different factors you have to decipher through when you're looking at those cars. But in this current market, the biggest focus is to me the cost, because over the span of maybe 10 years, what you could buy a car for 10 years ago is completely different now, right? You have to really, and so the challenge for me would be to then say, all right, how can if someone comes to me and let's say they have a budget of $30,000 or $40,000, whatever that budget is, and they tell me they want a specific type of car, and I know that this car usually in the market is going for 37, 38, but I have to find a way to say, hey, how can I get them the best bang for their buck with the best quality vehicle possible? That is the challenge right there, because a lot of these vehicles are either overpriced, or they're overpriced and the quality isn't there, or the quality is there and they're still be overpriced. But that's where I come in, and I find that gem and that diamond in the rough, and I help people do that. So that's the biggest challenge, though. I'll say I wouldn't necessarily say the challenge is with the increase in technology in the cars, because these cars, even with the new technologies, they're still good cars. Right, like yeah, the cost kind of makes it go up, but I really don't think that's the biggest factor. I just simply think with inflation, that's really what's causing everything. We just got the alert where the tariffs for vehicles not made in the U.S. And Ferrari already increased their sales price by 10%. When you look at those things, you already see where the trend is going to go. The trend is going to go where these cars made outside of the United States, they're going to be going up. So that's going to be another challenge, like for me, to help someone find a car within their budget. But it's still doable. I never say nothing isn't doable. Like everything, it can be done. It's just you got to be the right person to do it. And that's really it.
Got you. No, okay, stepping back from cars in specific and just looking at you operating a business because that's really what you're about. You're operating a business. Maybe not now, but can you say what you see as the potential challenges that you may or you may not face? But are there things that you say, boy, I'm going through this, but I foresee where XYZ may become quite a bit of challenge. So I now need to start to prepare my mind as to how I'm going to address it.
Yeah. So I say the biggest thing was and I actually just recently dealt with something like this where, I had to kind of go back to the drawing board and kind of reevaluate how I was dealing with clients because I wanted to make it more structured, which is why what we kind of briefly talked about earlier with the plan that I created, a 3 to 4 week
We need
plan.
to look at that. Right.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. But, I created a 3 to 4 week plan for the clients that I get. And I feel like that's going to completely change everything because it's going to give people a blueprint and something that they can follow. They can easily go to and say, okay, we're at our 2 week mark. This is what I should expect. And then this is what I'm actually getting. And so that's something where I'll say um, that has been a challenge. And I feel like, but with challenges, that just challenges mean growth to me. That's how I see it. Like that's all it is. A challenge just means you're about to grow in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So that's what I did. And when everyone gets to see it, whenever I gets to see it, I'll explain it more then. But
Got you.
yeah, I'll say,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll say, but to fully answer the question, I'll say, just in the future when things happen and those challenges happen, just look at it as growth, and I'll always get over that hump. I'm confident in that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
What you just said, in addition to an earlier statements that you made, speaks to the word philosophy. The word philosophy comes in, right? And we talk
yeah,
about philosophy, fancy word, but as you know, nothing much to it. It is really your value proposition. If you were to say, this is my personal philosophy, and I think this is a philosophy that when applied to my business, this is what is going to propel it forward. What would you say is that philosophy? What is it that you
uh,
hold dear and true to your heart?
I'll say just don't self sabotage. I think like that's a big thing because how I see it as like when you say someone so when you sabotage something, it's you knowing about what it is and still not doing something to fix it, still not doing something to better yourself. So I tell myself don't self sabotage within my life and of course with the business. Like, if it's something, if I'm dealing with a client, I know that hey, this we're on a time constraint. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna move with a sense of urgency. I'm gonna be doing what I need to do to make sure that they're confident and they're comfortable, you know. And then within myself, personal development, like I talked about earlier, it's always continue to work on yourself every day, work on the business every day. And yeah, that's my philosophy, and I think that because it applies to everything. Like it doesn't just apply to one thing. Yeah,
I'm going to be a little facetious and right now and throw something at you.
yeah,
And I'm just going to mention it more of an opinion. I'm not saying
yeah,
it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong. I tend to think that one of the main anchor of running businesses, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, is always you being one step ahead of the other person, whether it be your competitor,
yeah,
and unfortunately, one step ahead of your customer, meaning that you're going to have some information, some knowledge, some know-how
mm,
that the customer does not have, and that give you the edge over. Now,
yeah,
in
yeah, right
the
there.
sense of full transparency,
Yeah,
I would say that there are times when, for the purpose of running a business, you need to be less than fully transparent to a customer.
mm.
If I should propose that to you, what would be your feedback?
I think that the in the car game, there is absolutely no way you could do that. There's no way you cannot be transparent because when you're talking to someone, about a purchase, because it's not like this is a, for instance, when I mentioned a budget of $30,000 to $40,000, that's someone's hard-earned money that they, maybe they saved it up cash, and maybe they have it and they're trying to, get a car for, a family member themselves, or they're financing something. Then a car and a house, as you know, those are the two biggest purchases someone can make in their life. And so I don't think it's possible to not be transparent. Like if I'm let's say I'm sourcing a car for a customer, and there's three accidents on the car. When I tell them, I hold that information back for them, and then when they get it, they're like, hold on, this car had three accidents and two owners, but I never knew that. I don't think you can. But to your point, I think maybe it's levels to it, but I think that it just depends. I think in my business, I think when you're not transparent, it people already have this pre-existing notion that, hey, he's a salesman, he sells cars, he's just trying to sell me something, whatever, right? He's just gonna do whatever he can do to sell me a car. But I feel that me being transparent and me being genuine in that moment, uh, I think that that's what carries you in this business with around, just when it's the norm is that it's not a lot of transparency, basically. But
Got you.
yeah,
Got you. It is always said that it is advisable that a young entrepreneur, among others, but a young entrepreneur will always find a lot of value in having a mentor. A mentor. Now, the mentor could be someone knowledgeable in your field, but not necessarily so. It can just be a person who help you, to guide you, to direct you, to keep you on track, that you can
yeah,
bounce things from time to time. Well,
yeah.
my first question: how important do you think this is for a young person getting into business? Not necessarily for you, but I come specifically to you after. But in a
Yeah.
general sense, how important do you think having a mentor is in enhancing the probability of success?
I think it's, I mean, second to, I don't think you can't even put a number amount to how much value that is. Like, I think, like, if, when you have someone that you can look to that can immediately add value to you and give you somewhat of a blueprint, like, I think that you can't, there's no number amount to put on that. I think that right there itself can carry you so far. And that's what I'm saying. Luckily, I have my dad there to for me to learn the automotive industry as a whole and learn about cars, because without that, I wouldn't have been able to, you know, source and find the quality vehicles that I need to find. If I didn't even know what type of car, to look for, I wouldn't even be able to find anybody anything good. So, yeah, I think having a mentor is a must, but it's doable without it. But you're gonna go through a lot of extra challenges and extra issues, that you wouldn't if you would have somebody that you could talk to and kind of show you the ropes and help you understand the business. Still go through your experiences, but they can kind of forewarn you for what's going on and what you might
Right.
expect. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Earlier on, you mentioned, I'm very curious to look into that. We mentioned, we're talking about the changes in technology, etc., and the
Yeah.
challenges that it may pose. You had mentioned that you have, I'm going to use the word proprietary, because proprietary methodology, I call it, as to how you would guide people like me in terms of it. So I
Yeah.
think there's something that really I'm interested in seeing, and I would
Yeah.
want you to kind of walk us through it and let me get a sense as to how it works. So take me
Right.
through and help me to understand.
So so with this right here, like I said, it's not to even, you guys can read it, but just to just talk over it,
Mhm.
I wanted to create something to where, like I said, someone could come in and I can give them this and they can know exactly where they're at within their process and know exactly what's going on, and kind of get a good feel for uh, how working with DT Auto Consultants would be. So, like I said, as you can see here, week one is that first initial contact and actually going through, talking through, actually figuring out exactly what it is that you want, right? Like figuring out what your budget is, what type of car do you want, just and giving you a complete overview of the process and everything. And then getting a deposit from 150 to $250 depending on the car. And this right here is just for, just bring that commitment because we give 130%, 150,000% to our clients, right? So we want to ensure that you're committed just as we're committed, right? And so in that week two, that's when we go into actually full on sourcing, sending you vehicles and everything. And then at this point now, right, we're gonna be working on what's your budget. You're gonna be seeing what's out there in your budget, what's out there with the criteria that you set. And so with both of those, you'll be able to then determine yourself and say, hey, do I want to go up? Do I want to go down? And I'll walk you through that process. You can go to the next it's a second page
Okay,
to this one. Yeah,
let me. Okay.
yeah. And
Mhm.
so yeah, so right. So now towards the end of week two, going into week three, that's when we're really like we're going to be having deep discussions about what the budget is, deep discussions about what this process, what the type of car that you want based on the budget you have, based on the criteria you have. See if you maybe need to change, if we need to increase the budget, if we're good where we're at, or maybe you might want to explore a different type of car or different type of color or exterior, whatever it is. We talk through that part. In week three, that's when I really look to narrow down and figure out exactly what it is. The two really, I like to say two vehicles because it can be a lot. Like I said, it's a big decision, and it can be a lot if you don't really take the time to narrow it down and bring it down. Because if you're in week three and you have five cars, your mind is all over the place. Like you're just you're not gonna know what to do. So narrow it down to two, and me helping you through that process, helping you understand what the real pros and cons are um, to each one, and then usually I would love to by the end of week three and the beginning of week four we're finalizing something, we're closing it, and we're getting you in the vehicle that you want, and we're going through all the steps of checking the car out, going through the full maintenance process, making sure brakes, tires, oil change, everything is good to go for you, um, and make sure everything works well in the car before you even touch it. But if let's say in any given moment maybe we have to go from to the end of week four, or maybe into beginning of week five. We can do that because I don't want to rush anybody in this process, right? And
Mhm.
so that's really the main thing that
Okay.
I wanted to express and explain to people because
Right.
I think this will
Right.
give you people kind of like a blueprint with it.
A blueprint as to how the process works. That is
Yeah,
correct. You're right, Angela,
yeah,
because one of the greatest frustration that in anything, in any customer relationship, but of course in a car purchase like that, is not knowing, not knowing what's the next step. Where are we?
right,
Where are we? How close are we? Now, going back to the schedule here, I see where week four, week
yeah,
four, you close the deal. And
right.
so that is when, okay, at what point do you get the signal to, yes, I want X car, so now you're
Okay.
going to buy X car? Or is it already
So
identified, just waiting to be bought?
once we get to the end of week three, that's when
Mhm.
we're saying, okay, like we've sourced, we've checked.
Got
I've made my phone calls. If it's here in the state of Georgia, I'll go check it out myself. If it's in another state, I find ways to get it checked out and everything. So we go through both of those vehicles, and then once we get to that point where you're like, hey, after going through these checks, this is what we have for both of these. Where do the decision at the end of the day is up to the customer at the end of the day. So I come back to the customer with all the information that I gathered from really 2 weeks of gathering information on the car and figuring out everything that's going on with it. And so from that point, that's when they would then make a decision and say, okay, this is where we would want to go with it, right? Maybe the price on one is, maybe it's $1,000 less, and they're like, hey, this fits what we want to do, so we're gonna go with this one, or this one has a feature that the other one didn't have. Whatever that is, we go with that one, and then then we go through the process of purchasing it for them and then going through there and working it out,
Great,
the deal out.
great,
Yeah.
great.
And getting the car. If it's just in another state, we get it shipped here. Or if it's here,
Mhm.
we pick it up and then we go through our own checks as soon as we get it. Yeah.
Got you, got you, got you. Perfect. Oh yeah, man, that definitely. I mean, as I say, I'm not fully knowledgeable, but I would be surprised if we have. I'm not saying we do not have any other who offer, but I would be surprised we have much of others, who would be offering something like this. Because it's
Yeah.
always good. You see, whenever you start a process, it's always for you to things may happen to change things here and there, but yes, to have a clear picture in your mind as to
Yeah.
how this is going to work out, plan out, or evolve is
Yeah.
always a good thing. Give the customer the level of confidence,
Yeah, and
in
like
you.
you said, it's fluid. Anything can happen. Within this 4 week period. And like that's what I'm saying. It's no rush and no pressure, but it's
Right.
just to kind of give the client a sense of like a direction.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, having
Gotcha.
direction is. I'll say that's really the main thing is having direction. Like
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
can know
Mm-hmm.
exactly where you're going, what you're doing with it. So yeah.
Right.
And being able also too, where the technology part, I'll say, and how I add to it, I'm able to source cars all over the United States. I do like to stay, especially we're in the South here. I do like to stay. Now I don't like to really go up north just because of the rust issues that you have with certain mileage cars. But if they're low
Oh.
mileage and good quality cars, then
Mm-hmm.
they should be fine. They haven't been on the road that long. But I usually
Oh
don't like
well,
to go up that
this is
far.
really more of a side issue since I'm not that knowledgeable. Is there would there be a factor to say because cars are operating in very cold conditions up north, it is not quite advisable to bring them down for sales on the south? Is there any logic to that,
No,
or not necessarily?
it's really just like for instance in New York, right? In New York or states that snow a lot, right? Those
Mhm.
cars, all that ice and everything building up on the bottom of it, and then it's just sitting there. It gets rusting on, and then it's cold. It's crazy cold. So when you come down here, like for instance, I bought a 335 from Maryland, and one time I was just trying to work on it and add some performance parts to it, and as we're trying to take off a bolt on it, it just wasn't coming off. It wasn't. We put fire to it. We did
Uh,
everything that we possibly could, and it was just rusted. We had to break it. So you deal with those things when you know. And this was a personal car of mine too. So,
mhm.
so I didn't get this for anybody, but yeah, it's that's something where that's stuff you would deal with when it's up north, or when it's just in states that's super cold and it's snowing and stuff like that. It's just something that you can avoid. I mean, especially
Right.
if there's cars down here. I mean, you can avoid it.
Got you.
Yeah,
Got you. Let me throw this question at you, Brandon. And this is a
yeah,
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna call it $1 million question, not because it's coming from me, but it's a general sentiment. The
yeah.
conversation runs like this: should a young person focus on formal college education, get your
Mm,
degree, get into corporate America, do blah, blah, you know this stuff, or
yeah.
really decide, you know what, I'm going to go and do my own thing, okay, clear my own path, develop my own track. What's your view on making that choice between let's go academics, let's go into corporate America and get into somewhere else, or let's take our path? What's your view on it, sir?
So I think this is a you hear this question like all over. You see it
Oh,
all over social media. I mean, it's my take on it is, man, this is very specific to the person that is going through it, right? Like for me, it specifically, and I'm in a situation where I got the college degree and I'm in corporate America, but I'm doing accounting, but I'm also doing my own business, and that's something that I'm glad that I'm doing. But if I would have figured this out maybe while I was 16, I probably would be doing this from that point, right? Like I probably if I would have figured that out from so and that but that's just my personal preference. If you're someone that likes school, you enjoy school, and you're actually going to be going to college for something that you know is gonna when you get out of college, you're gonna be able to go into the field and actually get real world experiences and actually be able to make an impact financially for yourself and your family, then I would definitely say do it because there's a lot of opportunities out there in corporate America. I would never tell somebody to just tell anybody younger than me or my age, older, no matter what. I would never tell somebody don't go to college or anything because if you do go to college and actually buy into the and accept the benefits that it has, you can be really successful. I mean, that's just a real thing. But do you have to go to college to maximize your potential as a person or or maximize your success? Absolutely not. You don't. You could go to a trade school. I mean, I know I have a couple friends, I have family members, they didn't go to college, but they're successful. They might even be more successful than people that went to college. It's there's no real like this is really a trick question in my opinion. I just think it's something people really shouldn't put all this energy into because if something may have worked out for you or for that person or for people that really say, oh, don't go to college, da, 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 that worked out for you, but everybody is not built for entrepreneurship. Like everybody can't deal with, because I think about me, I get off work 4, 3, 4. I come home. I'm straight on my laptop talking to clients. I'm talking to I'm sourcing vehicles. That's not an easy thing to do. But am I willing to sacrifice to do it? Yes, but that's not easy. So it's it's up to the person. That's really the biggest thing. If you know in yourself if you're not built for college and not saying that's a bad thing, that's not a bad thing. You may be built for real life applications, getting straight into the field or whatever you want to do. Let's say you want to sell, let's say you want to, get into fitness and I want to get into fitness. I'm going to get my certifications together and start training at a gym and then build myself up and then you can do that. If you want to be a mechanic, go to trade school. If you want whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. It's just understanding. That's why and I've always preached this personal development because you have to look at yourself and then make a decision. You have to look at yourself and say, what are my passions? What am I actually good at? And how can I apply this to my life? How can I apply this to what I'm doing? That's really it. So
That's
anybody
really
out there,
yeah.
just look
And
at
then
yourself
too,
and make a
and then
decision.
right, and attached to what you're saying is that there's always the element of because once you talk about entrepreneurship, you're talking about risk taking. Simple
Right.
risk
Yeah.
taking, and so to your point, it is person specific, okay?
Yeah.
Because some people say, okay, man, I want to know that when I'm finished working on Friday, that I check it, you know what I'm saying, kind
You're
of
right.
thing.
Yeah.
And it's just an individual choice. So you have a point because that entrepreneurship can be very daunting, can be very, very rewarding. It can be very
Yeah.
challenging, but yeah, it has to be a person.
Because just
So
like, and even you, even
go ahead,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I'll say even you, I mean, when you started, your business, there may have been times where you was like,
Oh
like,
yeah,
like, what
yes
I'm saying,
sir,
sleepless nights, all
yes
that
sir.
stuff,
Right,
you have built yourself up and your business up to the point where now, you can, you may still have some of them sleepless nights, but
certainly,
you know how to handle it now. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
right.
So
That's right. No, you
that's
have
all,
a
man.
point.
Yeah.
You have a point. You're right on point.
Yep.
You're right on point. So therefore, having said that, my next question was going to be, but I think you addressed it efficiently. Is that I would have asked, would you then be willing to say recommend to other young people in your circles? Your friends, your peers will look at you and say, "Oh, Brandon, rated, or whatever they say."
Yeah.
Would you say to them, and I'm asking the question, but I think I already have the answer because you say
Well, no,
specific.
I'll answer it again. Yeah.
So you go, you take. Would you recommend?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say once again, look within yourself, figure out what it is that you want to do. Um, but I definitely would say especially if you're young, like I had to understand, I had to talk like don't forget personal development. I had to look at it myself and realize, hey, you're young. Like it's okay to try different things. Like if you're young, it don't matter what age, to be honest. I feel like it's never too late to really try anything, to try
Mhm.
something. Now, of course, the older you get, the harder it is to just try something. But at the same time, I feel like you can always try something, see how it is, and see what you can do with it. I think that's what I would say. So if you let's say somebody says, they want to go to college and they're equipped to go to college, and they're not just taking out crazy loans and all this stuff, and but they say, I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna see what this is about, and they go in there and they're like, nah, it's okay to be like, I I need to step back from this and focus on something else. I think like you don't have to do anything that you feel like you shouldn't be doing. Like I don't. That's the best way I can describe it. Like if you want to be an entrepreneur, try it out. You have to try it out. If you want to go to college, if you want to be whatever it
Right.
is, you have to go try it. That's what I would say to anybody.
Right.
Like you have to try. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, we're about to wrap
as
up on
hard as
our
that
call.
is.
Just before I give you the final takeaway, I just need to just speak to my audience, my clients, my connections, etc. We have Brandon here, Brandon Snowball, or young entrepreneur, having a very, very in-depth and intelligent, insightful discussion, and you have heard the man. And so you'll find that this interview and others will be available for replay on all my platforms, and of course Brian has his platforms, and so we're looking forward to reach out to Brandon. Sorry, reach out to Brandon. You hear the man, okay? So you're in the business, you're looking for a car, but you want to have that peace of mind that you're not just getting an object to buy, but you're getting an object that has been properly, thoroughly investigated, vetted, and good for you. Then that's the man to speak to. And of course, if you cannot get directly to Brandon, do not hesitate to touch base to me through me at HM Business
Definitely.
Solutions, and we'll
Yeah.
take it going forward. Brandon, you have the last word, my brother. What do you want to tell us as you go to do some business? What do you want to
Yeah.
leave with
So
us?
what I'll say is I'll just drop the gem for everybody. I just want to give people three factors that I think they should
Mhm.
focus on when looking at a car. Let's say it can be any type of car, any year, it doesn't matter. When you're looking at a car, you should look at three things. It should be you should look at the reliability, the drivability, and depending on the type of what you like with the car's performance. Right. So the first thing is reliability. So how is the car on maintenance? How much of the tires? You need to focus on those things and you also need to focus on what do I need to do to properly maintain these cars. Like some people say BMWs are just, oh, these are terrible cars. No, they're not terrible. But if you don't take care of them, like any car, there's going to be a problem. So, if you properly take care of the car, you're going to be fine. The second thing is drivability. The second thing is drivability. How does this car drive around corners? How does it drive around corners? How does it drive on the highway? How does it drive just in any way? How do I feel when I'm driving this car? That's something. The only way you can get that is by test driving, going around, figuring out exactly what you want. That's the second thing, and the third thing, like I said, is really based off of who the car. Some people don't care about performance. Some people just like, hey, I want to get in the car, point A to point B, I'm going to work, whatever, right? But some people, like myself, you might care about the performance. So you need to actually look into, and that's where we come in for all three of those factors. We help you go through all of that. We help you understand the reliability of the car. We help you understand the drivability of the car, and we help you understand based on the model that you're looking at where the performance is with that. So, for instance, with a BMW, you have a 330i, you have an M340, and you have an M3. All three of those cars are different tiers of cars with different performance, drivability. They're all reliable, but they just differ in those factors. So, you just depending on the car, you just got to know, you got to understand the differences between those, and then you can put those factors together and then find a car that fits all three of those for you, and you'll be fine. So I say that's a gem that I'll drop for everybody.
Got you. Sounds good.
Looking for
Sounds
a
good.
car moving
And
forward.
what I'm hearing for all the BMW enthusiasts, because I'm hearing
Yeah.
that other than the general sale of car, Brandon is the man that focuses on your BMW
Oh yeah,
specialist. Okay, so for those
yeah,
of us who are into performance and to whatever we do, Brandon is a man,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
information. And so again, thank you very, very much, Brandon, for
And
hanging out with us
also,
this evening.
before
But
before I finish,
yes,
before I
sir, go
finish, I
ahead.
also want to say if you are in the Atlanta area, well, most of you guys may be in Atlanta area, Conyers, Gwinnett, anywhere, DT Motors Auto Repair. I mean, state of the art service. Like I said, my dad's been doing this 30 plus years. Um, and he knows a lot about the business. He knows a lot about cars, and you can go through the reviews. There's I don't even have to really say much. You can go through the reviews. It's I don't really have, like I said, I don't have to say much. Go to DT Motors on Google. You can go anywhere. You can reach out, call us, give us a call, ask us questions. You can reach out to the number on the screen. And yeah, I hope to get business from you guys moving forward.
Great,
Yeah.
great, great. And I have no hesitation putting, well, I would not say my neck on the line, but I have no hesitation. Frankly speaking, DT Motors, owned by Andre Snowball, of course, which is Brandon's dad, has been my client for more than I can count years.
It's been a minute, yeah.
I know the man, I know the business, I know the quality of service, and I'm expecting no less from this collaboration between dad and son.
Yeah.
And so, with that
Yeah.
said, Brandon, it was a pleasure, my brother. Really a pleasure,
Definitely.
and I look forward, man, to
Thank you for having me, man.
talking with you more and to, as it were, doing my little bit to assist you in any way that we can drive the success.
Most
All
definitely,
right,
man. Thank you, man. All right.
man, it was a pleasure. All right, Brandon, have a good one now.
All right, you too.
Okay, bro. So there you had it, huh? The beginning of our second or our new season, rather, of our podcast, Crossroads. And as I hinted to you a week or so ago, that we'll be having a young entrepreneur to start the ball rolling. And I am so impressed with the young man. I am so impressed and so encouraged by, the acumen, the drive. And therefore, I would encourage you to check it out. You can find a replay of this podcast on our platform. And I know that in Brandon's circle, he will also have information there for you. So once again, this is David Etienne, signing out from our podcast. And so we look forward to being with you in the coming week or so with another presentation of an entrepreneur, another sharing with you of some of the business challenges and the way to navigate and the path to take as we confront and conquer these challenges. So go forward, being good, being faithful, being conscientious. And I will remind you that on our YouTube channel, Etienne's Place, that's our YouTube channel, we have a chock full of resources. Those are videos on a wide range of business issues, whether it be taxation, development, business development, you name it, which I think you will find to be very, very, very useful. So that's it for me for now. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon wherever you are and enjoy the spring. Excuse me. And we'll talk in the coming week. Bye for now.
Go to etnstrategicmc.com. Check out the latest episode of Crossroads, Navigating Business Challenges, with David Etienne.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No